What men consider amazing sex. And we're going to talk about the truth. Well, at least the truth according to Jonathan. So cut me a little slack today. Our conversation is going to have 5 truth-laced answers to what men consider amazing sex. If men were in their heart and not their ego. Let me repeat that. If men were in their heart, not their ego. And I know that's really challenging, especially if you're a woman watching this, because you probably suspect most men are in their ego. But we're going to dive into a different conversation today. And the following that I'm about to share with you is based on an interview I did with a tantric master. Now, you might be wondering, what is Tantra? Tantra is, I've got to read from my notes, please forgive me. Tantra is a South Asian philosophy and set of practices that emphasizes the potential of the body and the universe as pathways to spiritual liberation, often involving rituals, mantras, visualizations. It's a revolutionary tradition that shifts away from the body denying practices of previous yogic traditions and highlighting the body's role in a spiritual awakening. So this is more about tapping into your body more than the from an emotional point of view, using breath work and a variety of different techniques. And this isn't about Kama Sutra or anything along those lines. This is more about the emotional connection we have with our body. And we're going to dive into it today. Most men's blind spots, many men are unaware of what they truly desire on a sexual level. And I think for a lot of men, if they're in their ego, they think they want hot, they want wild, they want kinky. But what they ache for is something full, non-performative. And as the tantric master said, a woman in her feminine presence. That means a woman who is in her body, not trying to be liked and free in her pleasure. So she's not trying to be liked. She wants to be free in her pleasure. They perform good, well, here's it says they perform good sex, big energy, confident dominance, because that's what gets them to claps, okay? But deep down, they crave to be fully received, not just desired. And they don't want to trust and they don't trust that it'll ever happen. So they try to keep a mask on. Okay, I know that was kind of confusing because I was reading from my notes, but I want to offer the following. When we think of sex, we think of ejaculation, we think of orgasm, we think of the act of performing, whether it's oral sex or receiving pleasure. But what I kind of gleaned from this tantric master is something more evolved, something more connected with our hearts. And I get that we are oftentimes, driven by our lower chakra, our desire to be physically intimate. I mean, in fact, if you look at the dating marketplace today, the way most people date, they focus on entertainment, they focus on romance, and they focus on physical connection. And while this is true for men, I'm going to say women are equally in this category as well. I don't think we human beings have evolved to a more heart-centered way of getting to know another human being. Let me repeat that, a heart-centered way to get to know another human being. In fact, if you haven't read the book, If the Buddha Dated, and all the books I recommend are listed below in Jonathan Recommend Books. I highly recommend checking this out because it's about dating. It's throwing out the gender bullshit of how we should be dating. That the man is supposed to do this and a woman is supposed to do that, and the masculine and feminine energy and all that kind of stuff. And what this book embodies is more of a heart-centered way of approaching getting to know one another. You see, the reality is today, relationships are all over the map. I mean, if we look at our current dating dynamic, because of swipe applications that marginalize people, we see more hookups going on. We see more people that find themselves in friends with benefits. We see situationships. We see casual relationships. And actually, partnership-based relationships, serious relationships, are the exception, not the rule. But we have to examine this for a reason, because the reality is for those of us in midlife, and I say midlife is after baby making years and before retirement, for those of us in midlife, we have gone through probably 1, 2, or 3 significant relationships by the time we hit 45, 50, 60, or even 70 years old. And because of that, we are not a blank sheet of paper like we are in our 20s and 30s. I want you to think back when you're in your 20s and 30s from a dating dynamic. Many of us were following a script. Go to college, get a job, meet someone, get married, buy a house, start a family. We were following that script. And that script made it very easy to be in relationship. But the challenge for us in midlife is we don't have a script of what it looks like to blend lives with another human being, how to actually get to know another human being at a heart-centered level. But Jonathan, I'm just told to sit in my feminine energy and let men lead, and chemistry will equal relationship success. And oh my God, if there's amazing chemistry, we will figure out all of the problems, all of the misalignment. I know you guys joke with me when I do my mocking voice, but I'm here to say this is partially the narrative out there. And I want to draw attention to the understanding that one of the biggest challenges with midlife relationships is blending lives with one another. And we have to address that before we even get to the physical side. Okay, we have to address this. You see, the TV show Brady Bunch made it look so easy. You had Carol and Mike Brady. Mike Brady was a widower. Carol, we thought was a widow, had been widowed, but it turns out she actually, in the movie that came out, she was married, but unknown that she was actually never divorced, okay? But she had 3 children, he had 3 children. They just blended these lives so together. And of course, they had Alice cooking and cleaning and doing all the housework, and Carol could just sit and do, needlepoint all day or prepare for the sack race. Why am I talking about this? Because you and I both know, many of us who have been divorced, in fact, ladies, if you've been divorced, you find yourself back out in the workplace having to take care of yourself financially. In fact, many of you have reached a status where you're not dependent upon a man for your survival. And thank God that's the case, but it makes it more complicated because as we age, we come to the table with more, let's call it what it is, baggage, or we can be gentler and call it luggage, and we don't know how to blend those together. And so we hyper focus on entertainment, romance, and physical connection to be able to actually piece these two things together. And while I'm talking about sex for a moment, I'm really wanting to talk about the heart-centered connection I'm inviting you all to have. Why I'm recommending to read this book, If the Buddha Dated, is an invitation to start approaching getting to know someone from the heart. What does that look like? That means having tougher conversations in the early stage of dating, not focusing on text messaging all day. How's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day. Tell me about your day. Let's just talk about our days. And while what we do during the day matters, what matters most is what's in our heart. What does our heart truly desire? And that's what we're going to lean into. So I'm going to share with you what this tantric master shared with me. And in the previous videos, when I talked about amazing sex, I talked about how a man wants an agreeable woman, how he wants a woman to initiate, how he wants a woman that will give oral pleasure and both give or, well, ideally from a woman's perspective, she wants to receive oral pleasure. And from the man's perspective, he wants a woman who will complete that oral pleasure. These are just some of the things I've shared in previous videos, but today, we're going to dive into the emotional aspects of what great sex might look like. So, Tantric Master teaches me number 1, emotional safety equals raw wildness. Emotional safety equals raw wildness. Men need to feel safe emotionally before they can surrender sexually. Most men aren't disconnected from intimacy. They are terrified they won't ever be chosen once they open up. Did you hear that? They're terrified that once they open up, they won't be chosen, because the reality is we men are also insecure, fragile creatures. We all have a little 6-year-old inside of us that is struggling deeply. Now, when I say all, many men have this wall up. They have this bravado. They have this strength about them. We call it stoicism, that they can regulate their emotions. But I invite you, how many men are leaning in on emotional side of a relationship? And I think what they crave deeply is emotional safety. This requires being vulnerable with your partner. This requires being authentic with your partner. This requires being transparent. Ladies, I'm sorry to say this. Many of you have, and you've seen me do this before, you have duct tape on your mouth. And what I mean to say is you don't speak your truth. If you haven't learned anything from my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work, I invite you to check it out. Chapter 1 says, speak your truth. Just do it from a kind place, from that sincere place, from that loving place. And chapter 9 states, if it's sincere and from the heart, you really can't say the wrong thing to the right person. I work with women who are in relationships frequently. And by the way, if you need some support about the relationship you're in, there's a link right here to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with your coach is right for you. I would say half of my practice is helping women communicate with their partners to open their heart. In fact, I wrote a script. Oh, it was just 11:11 a second ago. I just wrote a script for a partner, because for a woman she kind of went off on her boyfriend in a kind of a Tasmanian devil kind of way. And she realized her real core issue was she was scared. Ladies, I think it's so important to express your fears to men, to express your insecurities, not from an insecure, incompetent way, but from the reality is dating, mating, or relating is very scary, especially since these scripts I talked about earlier are so chaotic. And coming back to those relationship scripts, I think the reality is we humans in midlife don't know what partnership looks like. Remember I talked about the Brady Bunch earlier? It made it look so easy that they could blend lives together, those in midlife. But the reality is for those of us 45, 50, or 60, we don't know what that looks like. In fact, we're not even capable of a full-blown all-in relationship. Many of us are very much kind of set in our ways. We like our freedom. Ladies, you like your freedom. Men like their freedom. And by the way, I've heard from women before, they are reluctant to be in an all-in relationship because, and I quote, these are your words, I don't want to be a nurse and I don't want to be a purse. So it's understandable why we have this disjointed way of being in relationship. So I want to start this first tantric conversation with emotional safety equals raw wildness, okay? Number 2, admiration equals arousal. Admiration equals arousal. He's turned on by how you see him, not just how hot you look. If a woman shows admiration without needing any in return, it activates his primal emotional system. Truth, he'll do anything for the one who genuinely sees his greatness. Oh my gosh, I was talking to a client today. She's in her 1-year anniversary for her relationship. She's the client that I did the couples workshop for last month, where he came down they both came to my home, and I can't tell you how he opened up emotionally. I mean, I think men are thirsty to open up emotionally when they're in the presence of somebody that can hold space for them. And he even said, Jonathan, he used his language, but he effectively said, I've never opened up to a man before like I had to you. And it brought the two of them closer together. But why I'm bringing this up is today she was talking to me about how he just looks so damn handsome and how she compliments him. And he's a good looking guy. He's got that rugged, little bit of that. He's got a bad boy look to him, kind of like a little bit of not a biker look, but he's a mechanical guy. He's got that edge to him. But she goes, damn, he is so damn hot. We men need to hear that. We feed off of that energy. By the way, do you know how infrequently men get compliments? This is about how many compliments we get in a day. Women are complimented all the time. Oh my God, you have those shoes, they're so wonderful. Oh my God, what did you do to your hair? Oh my God, your makeup looks so fantastic. Have you lost weight? You look great. Women get compliments all the time, but we men rarely get compliments. So when you express admiration, both on a physical, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level for a guy, it's going to arouse him in a way, and a sexual way as well. Number 3, polarity equals power. Polarity equals power. Men crave partners who anchor them into their masculine polarity, unapologetically embodying her femininity. Not submissiveness, not performative, present, receptive, expressive. If she's in her body and not in her head, his body will awaken too. Now, interestingly enough, most men tend to want to be dominant in the bedroom in that space of control. And again, I'm talking about men that want to connect with their hearts. As I started this broadcast, I want to differentiate between the men that are in their ego and all they care is about getting off versus those men who actually want to connect at a heart-centered level. And some men are dominant, but interestingly enough, I believe a third of men prefer to be submissive in the bedroom. In other words, they want to be taken. This is about you. Now, by the way, this is where sexual polarity matters. This is where sexual alignment matters in relationship. And so these are some of the things that I request having these conversations before you're ever physically intimate with anyone. And by the way, before I forget, before you're physically intimate with someone, you should do my dating vows if the two of you are serious about exploring a relationship. By the way, there's a link below to get a copy of my dating vows. I want to read this, but for those that seek serious relationships, or even if you're going to perform a casual relationship, I highly recommend having a copy of this. But it goes like this. It's each one of you stating what you desire from that before physical intimacy. And it goes like this. I, state your name, agree to explore the process to getting to know you from a truthful place with the intent to declare something serious in the next 3 to 6 months. This is for those who seek a serious relationship. But did you hear the key words? A truthful place. The first element of commitment is to operate from a place of trust, of truthfulness, of being in integrity with one another. Trust should be your highest value. Now, trust isn't just about fidelity, although we're talking about this right now. Trust is, does this person have my best interest at heart? That's the element of trust, is it's your best interest or my best interest. In other words, that's the way we operate from that premise. Now, I know, ladies, this is challenging, and for you men too. We have a very self-centric, selfish population that is myopic in their own needs. They're only focused on their own needs. I get that. But I'm here to encourage something deeper, something rawer. Okay, let me just finish this and I'll wrap up on polarity in a second. Number 2, we agree to be monogamous sexually while we're having regular sex together. We agree to not actively seek to meet and date others while we're in the dating process, including taking down our dating profiles. We agree to speak up if this isn't working for us versus pulling back, ghosting, or disappearing, which oftentimes happen. And we agree to invest regular time together in the process of getting to know one another. Look, I know 80% of men and women will bail on these agreements because, today we can get free sex. We can get just performative sex all day long through the dating apps. I'm here to invite something deeper, a more heart-centered, amazing sex connection. Number 4, depth through technique. Depth through technique. He doesn't want porn sex. He wants presence. When a woman drops into her body and meets him fully without performing, without fixing, without pleasing, he stops being a performer and he starts being a lover. The truth is, the best sex is a co-regulated presence using breath work to connect with one another. That's one of the essence of Tantra, is to begin breathing together, breathing in unison, breathing in that animal sense, connecting at a level of depth. As I said before in previous videos, I've talked about the performative ways men seek sex. This conversation today is about those men that seek a heart-centered connection through depth and technique. This is why you may want to go to a tantric workshop. And let me just tell you, it's not an orgy. It's not a free-for-all of sex. It's about connecting with someone through your breath, through visualization, through sensory types of things. And you'd be surprised how amazing this can be. And lastly, transcendence through real sex. The masculine craves to disappear through sex, to be devoured, dissolved, eaten alive in her devotion. Amazing sex is a spiritual obliteration with the right person, not just physical stimulation. The truth is, the body follows when the soul gets touched. I'm going to tell you something many men have said to me before. They have said, and I quote, "When I'm physically intimate with someone, it feels like home. It feels like a connection to God, if you will, or some level of spirituality." We are all seeking that level of co-creativeness, that embodied connection with another person, where we're reaching a level of spiritual connection that we've never experienced before. And I know this might sound like a bunch of woo-woo. This might sound like a bunch of wah, 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 wah. But I'm going to tell you, for those men who genuinely want to connect at their heart, I think it's time. And ladies, the reason why I talk to you is because men are fucking clueless. Excuse me, most men are rather clueless. They're winging it out there. You are the drivers of the bus. You get to drive the bus. You get to direct the relationship. You are in charge of your relationship destiny. But Jonathan, I'm just supposed to sit in my feminine energy and let men lead because men are the leaders of relationship. Most men in midlife are fucking clueless. But you know what? They're actually good at taking direction if they genuinely care for you. They are actually trainable. Men are trainable. And that's what I'm here to suggest to all of you. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, hey, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me. Hey, if nothing else, we'll have a nice little chat, but we're going to see if coaching is right for you. If you want to join my inexpensive group where you can have direct access to me on a regular basis, there's a link to join Midlife Love Mastery. Hey, there's links to get all the books I recommend, to get my dating vows, and you can join my mailing list at the same time. And if you want to follow me on social media, the links are in the show notes. All right, those who know my live format know it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, there's a little chat box in the corner there, somewhere there. Write the word question and then post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's him, Woody, right there. He's my son who passed away over 6 years ago. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and scholarships to coaching as well. And our goal tonight is $50. We'd appreciate some love. If 20 of you just donated $2.50, we'd get to our goal quickly. You know, speaking of Connor, I talked to his mother today. We had a really nice chat. You know, it's interesting. If you can, I don't know how it is with you and your ex. I'm grateful that she and I have reached a place where we're not friends with one another, but we are actually friendly. We're family to one another. We talk about, her mother just had her 90th birthday, and I wished her mother well. Today happens to be the anniversary of when my father passed away at almost 99 years old. Can you believe that? My father almost made it to 99. But we had a nice chat. You know, ideally, if we can find a place of being friendly with the people that have been in our lives, doesn't mean you have to hang out with each other. Ideally, it'd be great if we could all leave on good terms. It is it's messy out there. There's a lot of different emotions going on. I get that. And maybe you need to take a break from one another for a little while to come back in some sort of friendly capacity. But I'm here to say that, folks, I love what I do. I honestly love what I do. But at the same time, I understand how radically frustrating it is. Look, I'm single. I'm not in a relationship. I recently had an experience that didn't work out, and that's okay. But I've also come to realize that the most important relationship you're ever going to have is the relationship you have with yourself. And ultimately, I would say to you that I'm going to be radically candid with you. I probably dated from a very desperate, insecure place in my life. I've operated from a place of wanting to be rescued. And my emotional IQ gets me in the door with a lot of people, but I would say I've come from a weak, insecure place. It's one of the reasons why I think I can relate to weak and insecure men, which is a significant percentage of the population. It's not that we're bad people. It's that life is scary by ourselves. Life is scary having to support ourselves. Life is scary when we don't have the emotional scaffolding to navigate the emotional traumas in our lives. Many of you know I've gone through some majors crisis in my life, not only losing my high-end corporate job, going through a divorce 20 years ago and getting wiped out in the market crash, but many of, as I shared a moment ago, losing my son or even, someone I deeply loved ended the relationship. I have more examples of how I've walked through glass. Many of us, as you're watching this, I want you to put together a list of all the things that you've had to overcome in your life. And I want to give you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug and say that, you know what, if you're watching this, you have probably walked through glass. You have gone through some major emotional hurdles in your life. And guess what? If you're watching this right now, we are still standing. Maybe you had a very contentious marriage. Maybe you lost your identity. Maybe you had a physical ailment that shifted your life dramatically. Maybe you had a child that was suffering on an emotional level, or worse, in my case, losing a child. I want you to really sit with all of the things you've had to overcome to get to where you are today. And you're curious about this subject, not because maybe you're in a relationship, maybe you're not. Maybe you want to prepare for a future relationship. Who knows? But why you may be watching this is because I'm here to offer my perspective on what I think the truth is out there. Because I don't want to sell you the bullshit narrative like the book The Rules does, or all those dating coaches that are all masculine and feminine and just do this and just do that and text this, then you'll get this guy back. The reality is it is the fucking Hunger Games out there. My job is to hopefully put the odds in your favor. But I say Hunger Games is because we have an emotionally constipated population of human beings that don't know how to articulate their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions in a way that can be seen, heard, and understood. And ladies, you are no fucking picnic either. You guys oftentimes vomit your emotions, or you've got your duct tape over your mouth. And then you blame the men for not being mind readers. Joe Daisy says, this is resonating with me. He's resonating, Jonathan. Thank you. Roller Girl says, hello, Jonathan, everyone from Vegas. Danielle says, so true. And she follows it up with a yes. If you have a question, if anyone wants to join the Love Seat, I'm posting a link right now. If you want to connect with me right now, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about this. Not just sex, but whatever's on your mind. If you want to do a dive into something, we go there. I'll try to be gentle. Nancy White's, are you familiar with the book, Light His Fire or Light Her Fire? Makes everything fun and was beautiful. No, Nancy, I'm not familiar with that book. I'm going to show you a book I was reading earlier today. folks. You'll get a kick out of this. The book is called Shut Up, Stop Whining, and Get a Life by Larry Winget. I came across this book 20 years ago, and I just saw it on my bookshelf, and I said, I'm going to check this out again. But it's an empowered way at looking at life from that place of, look, it is chaos out there. Love is scary. The dating apps are, notoriously terrible. How can we find the humor in this ridiculous thing we call life? And I say ridiculous because look at how human beings are radically cruel and mean to each other. It saddens me. It saddens me. But I think if you can find that, there's another book I've been reading. Where the heck is it? Where is it? It's called Life. Oh, here it is. The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Shin. Okay, The Game of Life and How to Play It. If we look at life in that as a game, as a way that we get to navigate the matrix, if you will. We all have so much power within us. That's why this conversation was about Tantra, because it's about tapping into our natural reservoir of power within us. And I think that sex can be more than just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I think it can be a connection with another human being at a level that can transcend that ejaculation or that orgasm. If we operate from a conscious, empowered place, Tell me, is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Listen. I need some fodder for this conversation. There's a little chat box. Write the word question and post the question there after. Or listen, please purchase a super sticker, super chat. Listen, if 10 of you donated $5 right now, we get to our goal of 50 tonight. I cannot pronounce your first name, but this person says, hi, Jonathan. I like to look at your videos, and I just caught this live stream. Thank you for your advices. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jess is in the house, and she has a question. Regarding good sex, I asked a few of my male colleagues on what makes a female great in bed. Majority said be into it, but I also that they are willing to do anything and everything. Your thoughts? Oh my God, I can't begin to piggyback. Your male friends are right. We want to know that you're into it. We want to know that you're into us. Listen. Becoming a good lover doesn't happen overnight. I mean, again, a lot of men are very myopic. They're focused on their own orgasm. They're focused on ejaculating. But believe it or not, we have gigantic egos too. We want to know that you orgasm. We want to know that you feel pleasure. We want to know that you're into it. I wish more couples would do not foreplay in the traditional sense. One of the things I so appreciated in one of my last relationships was when we just, before being physically intimate, as we connected in a cuddling way, not in a spooning way, but in a cuddling way, and just really connected with our hearts. We started with gratitude. In fact, one of the practices I invite you all to do is recite 5 things you're grateful for about the other person from the heart, saying it. Taking a deep breath. I know I speak at a rapid pace and it's my ADD operating, but I invite you all to tap into your body. If you're sitting down right now, feel your butt in the chair, feel your butt in your seat, and start feeling into your body. And I invite you to feel into your heart right now. And we can connect at our heart level, and we know you're into it. I mean, we guys get off on that. I think when men feel like a superhero in the bedroom, we want to be a superhero in your life. Again, if we're coming from a heart-centered place and not that egoic ejaculation place. Okay, Poultry Flowers is in the house. Should we let our freak flag fly if we're not committed? We've got to, listen, I'm a big proponent of partnership-based relationships, but I'm here to say, you know what? Connection is connection. If you're being in integrity with yourself, if you're being in integrity with another person, I think it's okay to let your freak flag fly. It's funny. Some time back, I connected with a woman. I'll be candid with you. She was, well, I've had this happen more than once, okay? But this was something that happened last year. Look, Jonathan, I think you're hot. I don't think we are a perfect match for each other, but I'd really like to connect with you physically. And you know what was interesting about that experience? I'll be candid with you. I was in a low place at that point. I was lonely, and I was very susceptible to some degree. I'm saying that because I sound like I sound like a beta there. But you know what it was? She showed strong interest. She wanted to connect me. I was attracted to her. We weren't a fit on a romantic level. And we had a brief connection. And you know what? It was fun. It was freaky. It was safe. Okay. I don't think we should beat ourselves up if we're not having physical intimacy with our forever after person. I think we have to let go of those traditional expectations and say, it's okay to connect with someone briefly. Even if it's a one-time thing, if you go in with consciousness, if you go in with integrity with yourself, if you go in with an integrity with another person, and I know there are traditional religious consequences and all this. And first off, folks, and I'm probably turning off a little bit of my audience, I don't buy into it. I believe connecting physically with someone, connecting on an emotional level is something that we were designed to do. And not the judgment around that. But again, when we're operating from a vulnerable, authentic, transparent place, when we're in integrity with ourselves, but most importantly, being in integrity with another person. She was being honest with me. I was being honest with her, and we were okay with it. But it starts by treating each other with respect. And that's what we did. And that's okay. When two people operate from integrity, it's not here to be judged. Anyway, all right. Nancy goes on to say, great sex starts with how we treat each other. Exactly. Before we get into bed, it's how we flirt and how we admire, how we have fun and play. But most importantly, by being truthful with one another. See, sadly, we men, listen, I'm not proud to what I'm about to say, but if we do what I call relationship talk, we have a greater chance of getting laid. Do you remember the movie Tootsie? Remember the movie Tootsie? There's a scene where Dustin Hoffman at that moment was dressed like a woman. And Jessica Lange was talking about how she just wanted a man who'd just be upfront and say, I want you to take me. Now, what's interesting is when Dustin Hoffman did it as a man, she rejected it. But I think on some level, it was about being raw and honest with one another. And again, I'm not suggesting this with total strangers. I'm talking about demonstrating some level of trust with one another before you even remotely. And you must be safe. Okay, I'm here not to suggest some radical one-night stand with a total stranger. I'm here to operate from a place of safety, a place of trust. That's what I'm inviting for all of you. Joe Daisy asks, was freaky with your last girl you dated? I've made a commitment to her not to publicly say anything about it, but I would hope she would say with a smile about me, and I'll say a smile about her. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Divine Times just said, just started listening to the Game of Life on Audible recently. So awesome. Hey, talk about divine timing, right? Divine timing that I talked about this book. So anyway, yeah, you know what? I've been blessed. It's interesting. I'm not here to suggest I'm some sort of amazing lover or anything like that. And great sex, I believe, is great when you connect at a heart-centered level. I think that's what makes sex great. When you operate from a heart-centered level. I mean, again, most of us think of great sex from a performative level. But I think let me not say great sex. Please, let me rewind that. I think amazing sex amazing sex is at a heart-centered level. I think if we've ever experienced heart-centered sexual connection, that's the best. In fact, Bella says, that's the best. She's in agreement with me. Random sex at our age. You know what? Fuck it. Please forgive me. But you know what? Hey, the days in front of me are shorter than the days behind me. Folks, and I'm not suggesting random. I do believe in creating a connection with someone before being physically intimate with them. But what my point is it doesn't have to go the distance to still be an amazing experience. And I'm here to, and like Joe Daisy said, no judgment. First off, she says, no judgments here. Thank you. Appreciate that. Nico Craig has a question. Advice for navigating a crush on a dear friend I have. You know what? A crush oftentimes, here's my blunt thing. In fact, my most significant relationship after my divorce, my first most significant relationship, I was very upfront with her. I said right off the bat, and she's somebody I knew through social media. We had mutual friends. I was attracted to her. I watched all her videos on YouTube and just thought, wow, she's so amazing. And I said, I've got a crush on you. And you know what she said back to me? She goes, I appreciate that. I think I'd make a better sister than a girlfriend. And I said, how about we just meet as friends? We met as friends. We kissed on the second date. By the fifth date, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and we were together on and off for 6 years. Believe me, I was a train wreck in my life back then. I'm grateful that she accepted me where I'm at. But I will tell you, I was very upfront, Nico. I have a crush on you. Can we just go out as friends? If they say no, hey, at least you made an effort, okay? I don't know if this is a male or female, but I think, fuck it. You know what? Life is too short to have this. In fact, my sister just messaged me today. She had a crush on a guy that she met, I think it was at AAA, and it turns out they're going to church together this weekend, and that she met him 2 weeks ago at the AAA office. I don't know if she said, I think I told her to say, tell him you have a crush on him. Like, own it. Let's just own how we feel. Folks, let's own how we feel. You got nothing to lose, but I'm afraid that I'll scare them away. Folks, if you're sincere and from the heart, it's not a rejection. It's just a misalignment is all, okay? Jess is back in the house. Do majority of men compare their best or last sexual partners to a new one? I think it's natural for both men and women alike to do that. I think that's a very natural experience. We do compare. It's interesting. It's funny. And I'm thinking back 20 years ago. And I remember after my divorce, oh my God, she was the best sex I ever had. Then I met someone else. Oh my God, she was the best sex I ever had. Then I met someone else. Oh my God, she was the best sex I ever had. And then I've had series. Oh my God, that was the worst sex I ever had. By the way, folks, I'm no Boy Scout. I've been around the block a few times. Hey, you can judge me for it, but I'm just owning my truth. But I've seemed to keep up leveling every single time. So, hard to say but I would say that I think it's natural for men and women alike to compare. It's just we have a baseline based on our past experiences. It gets harder in midlife because you know what fucking sucks? It sucks to have to take a blue pill as you age. It sucks that we have to, do these things that don't always work, like testosterone and beet juice and bananas and all this stuff. It sucks that we can't maintain a hard-on. But I always say, I may not be able to maintain a hard-on, but I can always have a hard tongue. Anyways, that's something I can control. Bella. My boyfriend was a train wreck, but the sex amazing and very heartfelt. Okay. By the way, pineapple. That's right, Jess. I forgot to mention. I meant pineapple when I said bananas. Anyway, yeah, I get it. You know what? That's why relationships are complicated, because you know what? We may not be right for a relationship, but sex is something we can perform without commitment. Although, again, I'm a proponent for regular sex being monogamous. Okay, Nico. We hang out all the time. The connection between us is pretty solid. And yes, he is a fella like myself. I heard that. Owning the feelings and being okay with them. I feel more content already. Hey, I'm assuming, I believe if I'm understanding correctly, you are a man who has an attraction for another man. I think, dude, by the way, if I'm getting the pronouns right, go for it. Just own it. What do you got to lose? You got more to listen. You have nothing to lose, and who knows? He might be thinking the same thing. So go for it. Evelyn says, I don't compare previous partners. Well, I understand that. And we have to be careful of what I didn't say in that previous conversation. I think it's natural that we do compare. But I do believe that can also create complications if you feel that this person is less than. If that's what happens, I think it's natural to compare. But I think if we compare from a perspective of this person is less than, they're not as good at, it's going to create a gigantic problem within your relationship. So I would agree from that vantage point that it's not healthy, but I think it's very understandable and natural to do it. Sometimes we do it without wanting to do it. Okay. I think it's natural to compare people because it's kind of our barometer based on our past experiences. Keep in mind, our past experiences is what makes us who we are today as well. But again, if we look at a person less than, then we're operating from a place of judgment. Bella says, LOL, we know, Jonathan. Thank you. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Any advice on a dating site, please? I'm attracted to only super intelligent, super smart people. But we have a saying, where God give too much on one side, took away from the other side. I don't know how to pre-qualify someone on intelligence unless you ask them to do an IQ test. I think some people don't have to have a college education or a master's degree or a doctorate to be super intelligent. But I understand what you're talking about is you are sapiosexual. Can someone write that in the chat box? Sapiosexual. That means you're attracted to somebody's intelligence. I don't know. I would put that in my dating profile that I'm sapiosexual. I have that on my dating profile. It says that. I'm very attractive to people with depth who have, I'm attracted to, I'll tell you what I'm attracted to. I've got to read it to you from my Instagram. Bear with me 1 second. No, it's not in my Instagram. It's in my, bear with me 1 second. I hate small talk. I want to talk about atoms, death, aliens, sex, magic, intellect, the meaning of life, faraway galaxies, music that makes you feel different, memories, the lies you've told, your flaws, your favorite scent, your childhood, what keeps you up at night, your insecurity and fears. I like people with depth who speak with emotion from a twisted mind. I don't want to know, what's up? What's up? Type in, if you want to get a copy of that meme, someone post this for me. Just simply type in, I hate small talk. I hate small talk meme. Okay. You'll get that. Hey, we got to give props for Debbie being in the house and the $20 super sticker. Thank you for the love. We appreciate it for the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund. Thank you so much. Oh, Evelyn says she was talking about, I compare is how someone treats me. Certainly. I believe we should all treat each other with kindness, with care, compassion, sensitivity, empathy. That would be the ideal situation. To me, real character is how someone treats you from that vantage point. So anyways, thank you so much for that. And everybody is writing, I hate small talk. Debbie says, I hate small talk. Bella says, Debbie, you rock. Thank you for that donation. Bella, how about a $1.50 donation to the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund? There's a little dollar sign in the chat box. All right, listen, we got 10 more minutes. I need some fodder. I need some conversation. Write the word question, then post the question thereafter. I need something to talk about. You know, it's interesting. I've been working with several new clients on their dating profiles, and I'm actually now in the process. I've learned how to write a pretty good profile, and I created a great profile for her. Added that sapiosexual intellectual piece, and she's getting all these guys. I'm like, all of a sudden, we're like having to weed through some really amazing men. I want to tell you something. The website I recommend. One of my favorite websites is Millionaire Match. I know it kind of might sound like a turnoff, but if you pay for the premium level, people that pay the premium level, it's way more expensive than the other dating sites. It's $70 a month. But I will tell you, people who invest in themselves tend to be a little bit more polished, a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more than I'm going to tell you. I'm not a fan of Plenty of Fish. That's the bottom of the barrel. Not to suggest good people aren't on there. I'm not suggesting that whatsoever. But I will tell you, people that invest in themselves oftentimes make better partners. Just something to think about. Now, Phil says, take off your panties. We need to talk. Okay, Phil, where are you going with this right now? Roller Girl says, would you move for your lover? Would I move? I think if the right partner and I came to that decision and the circumstances fit, I would certainly consider that at this point in my life. But the pieces have to fit for that to work. But again, I'm not expecting anyone to move. I know my last relationship moved, but she was the one who reached out to me. She was the one who said she wanted to move. God, I just spilled all over my face. By the way, I'm drinking lemonade. Sloth, fetus. Holding hands with my current girlfriend feels better than sex with anyone previously. I want to read that again. Holding hands with my current girlfriend feels better than sex with anyone previously. Anyone else have this experience? As a guy, I really value non-sexual intimacy. Oh my God, I'm so proud that you said that. I really appreciate that you said that publicly. Holding hands with my current girlfriend feels better than sex with anyone previously. Folks, this is a guy that wants to be connected to his heart. See, good men out there exist, ladies. I'm here to say it. So sloth fetus, I'm not sure about that YouTube handle, by the way. Folks, I need some fodder before we wrap up. What men consider great sex. We talked about it from a heart-centered place. Look at even Debbie wants to acknowledge sloth. That is so sweet. We're talking about connecting at a heart-centered level. We're all thirsty for it. It is time to shift the narrative outside of entertainment, outside of romance, outside of... Listen, I believe, folks, if you're focusing on romance in the early stages, you are going to find yourself in circumstances that will most likely yield poor results later on down the road. You know what matters most is not romance. It's about connecting at a heart-centered level. This is why I keep repeating the book. If Buddha dated, it throws out the bullshit gender rhetoric and says, how can we connect with another human being at the heart-centered level? Because when you connect at a heart-centered level, you will have amazing sex for both of you. And that's what I'm encouraging everyone. Evelyn is in the house. Yes, affectionately, gestures are more important than actual active intercourse. Yeah, but an ejaculation is fun too. Let's face it, ladies, multiple orgasms. Isn't that awesome? Ejaculation, isn't that awesome? And yet, I am in agreement with you, Evelyn. Affectionate gestures are more important than the actual intercourse. And at the same time, intercourse is fucking fun too. Can we own that? Roller Girl, I think you misspelled it if the booga dated. Roller Girl, Jonathan, we love you. We appreciate you. Oh, I need that. You know what? Today I was having a rough day and I needed a little bit of love. So thank you so much. Jess is in the house. I had a very intense sexual longing with my last lover. Some of that intensely is still there, but I can no longer have any relationship with him. Any advice to navigate this? Pray. Well, prayer is about connecting with your divine self and asking for guidance. Prayer is about asking for guidance from your divine self, from that space that knows everything. Look, I know it's difficult to detach, especially when we've had chemicals, oxytocin, testosterone, estrogen, that chemical cocktail, dopamine. You know what? I am not an expert at detaching. Folks, you guys watched me for a year and a half struggle with the ending of my most significant relationship back in 2023. Detaching isn't easy when we genuinely care for someone, when we bonded at that physical level. It's not easy. You know what? I think it's about coming back to our center, coming back to our sovereignty. It's why I wrote my book. What the heck is self-love anyway? A journey of personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. Link below to get a copy of my book. I'm not saying it's going to solve your problems, but it's about building that emotional scaffolding of that sovereignty within us that we're like, it's okay that it didn't work out. That's okay. Rhonda. Jonathan, for the past 3 weeks, I've been speaking with a gentleman and we are simpatico. He asked my love language. We share the same number one physical touch. He says my past is no big deal. Is this a sign? Well, it's a step. It's a step in the right direction. You know, be careful if you're having a lot of text messaging and telephone calls. Meet right away. The sooner you meet, you'll know if it's a true sign. So, Rhonda, it was a great question, but I'm going to tell you, it ain't real until you meet. It ain't real until you've gone through a crisis together. It ain't real until you've gone through those threshold barriers together. Did you hear that? Till you go through those threshold barriers. You don't know it's real until you've resolved conflict. And oftentimes this is where most people fail. So it's juicy and it sounds fun and simpatico right now, but you won't know if it's real until you've experienced a variety of different things together, different circumstances together. That's when you know it's real. Rhonda says, question, why wouldn't he not know why he wouldn't want, wait. He says my past is no big deal. In other words, he's like saying, look, I'm going to judge you for where you're at today. We all have a past. I don't want to judge you for your past. I think it's good that he doesn't want to judge your past. I think it's good to know about our past experiences if you want to get insight into the future. But some people don't want to hear about their past. Men can be very territorial as well. That could be a reason why. Rhonda says, I hear you. Thank you so much. Okay. Let's go, keep going. All right, we've got the last couple minutes. If you have a question, write the word question and post the question thereafter. All right, we're going to give it, okay, can we do a book club live with chapters? Yeah, maybe we could do that if you're willing. Allison, the past is something to share slowly as trust is built with someone. Well, I think it's important to know, okay, here's what I do believe is important. Whoever your last relationship was, is there full closure? That's important. Also, what was the cause of the ending of your most significant relationship? And do you take ownership for your part in the ending of a relationship? People that don't take ownership oftentimes repeat their patterns over and over and over again, hoping to get different results. So I think it's important to know about people's past. Most importantly, is their last relationship over and they don't harbor any feelings for their past relationship. That I'm going to believe with. All right. Hey, look, we got through an hour. What men consider amazing sex. I hope you found value in this conversation. We talked about it from the heart-centered level. Okay, wait. I've got to answer this last question. Why do most men refuse to perform oral sex to a woman? All the guys I know don't have a problem with oral sex. So I don't know what, you know what, let's, hey, Google. Hey, what percentage of men are reluctant to perform oral sex?
Based on available research, it's challenging to pinpoint a precise percentage of men who are reluctant to perform oral sex. However, several studies offer insights into men's experiences with and attitudes toward it. Prevalence. A significant majority of men have engaged in oral sex. Studies of individuals aged 15 to 44 indicate that around 87 to 90% of men have performed oral sex at some point in their lives. More recent data from a study of heterosexual American adults shows that on average, men give oral sex approximately 4.97 times per month. Enjoyment. Interestingly, studies suggest that men are more likely than women.
All right, did you hear that? 87% of men have performed oral sex, Jess. So I guess you're just meeting the wrong batch. Anyways, we're going to take a few more questions. What dating websites recommend for age 65 to 74? Always Match.com, Millionaire Match are the, what's the other one? Silver Singles and Our Time are some of the top sites. Okay. Evelyn says, you're amazing. Thank you for caring. Jonathan, a cruise ship date would be amazing. As a first date, I'm not sure about that. No interest in men who are reluctant. Roller Girl says, I didn't know that. Jess says 100%. All right, folks, I think this would be a great place to wrap up. Hey, I'd like to hear your thoughts on what I shared tonight. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery, where you can have direct access to me. You can get all the books I recommend, even my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway, listed below. Get my dating vows. Follow me on Instagram. Join me there. I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Barrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love, if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow. Give either of them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank Debbie and Joe Daisy and Phil and Rhonda and Bella and Kathy, Canadians in the house. And I can't even pronounce your name. Morvisa. Allison, Roller Girl, Jess, Debbie again, thank you for the $20 super sticker. Evelyn, I think we covered everyone, or at least everyone's here. Thanks a bunch. Allison, wishing you all a wonderful evening. Be well. Thanks. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. 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 Bye.